What if the life you are living is the very prison you were trained to build? You chase paychecks, yet chains rattle louder with every promotion. They told you security was the path, but security has stolen your freedom. The giants of wealth knew a truth hidden from the masses. Money follows vision, not labor. And now you must decide: remain a servant of wages or awaken as master of destiny. Choose today, and fortune itself will bend to your command. Stop what you are doing. Listen with the gravity this moment demands. For if you miss what I am about to reveal, you may walk through the remainder of your life as a beggar when you were born to command wealth itself. The system has lied to you. They told you to work hard for 50 years, save a little, retire at 65, and call this freedom. But if 5 decades of labor end in a pension too small to live on, what do you call that? I call it the greatest deception ever sold to the human spirit. You were not born to serve until death. You were not born to watch life pass while you trade your soul for a salary. The world does not reward the obedient. It rewards the man who sees the trap and walks out of it before the door slams shut. I am Napoleon Hill, and I have studied the minds of the richest men alive. I have sat with Carnegie, walked with Ford, spoken with Edison. I have extracted from them not just their methods, but the spiritual laws that govern wealth itself. And what I discovered will shake you to your foundation. Here is what lies ahead. In Movement 1, I will show you the trap of 65, how retirement became the reward of slaves, not the free. In Movement 2, we examine time that enslaves, why trading hours for dollars is the mathematics of poverty. Movement 3 reveals definite purpose, the single law that separates those who command from those who comply. In Movement 4, I will teach you the law of systems, how the rich build mechanisms that work while they sleep. Movement 5 exposes the mastermind and the hidden ladder, the invisible chemistry of minds that multiplies power. Movement 6 delivers decision that burns bridges, why the wealthy cut off all retreat. And stay until the very end, because in Movement 6 I will give you the 11 lines you must speak to your mirror each morning, plus the 30, 60, 90-day ritual that has created more millionaires than any university. This is not inspiration. This is law. Movement 1, the trap of 65. Let us begin with a question that will determine everything. Who owns the life of a man who gives it away one paycheck at a time, only to die uncertain, unfree, and unremembered? The trap is not visible because it wears the costume of wisdom. They called it security. They called it responsible. They called it the American dream. But I have seen too many men reach 65 with trembling hands and fearful eyes because their money is running out, and I say without apology, if 40 years of labor end in dependency, then who truly owned your life? You have been taught to believe that retirement is the reward for faithfulness. But retirement is not freedom. It is permission to survive. It is the leash they gave slaves so they wouldn't revolt while they still had strength to build something of their own. Let me show you what wealth actually is. Andrew Carnegie did not work until 65. He built an empire before 40 because he understood this law. True wealth is not saved, it is not rationed, it is not handed out at the end like a prize for good behavior. True wealth is built through systems that multiply value while you sleep. Carnegie did not swing hammers in a steel mill for 50 years. He designed processes, organized men, created mechanisms that generated fortune whether he was present or not. That is the difference between the man who builds and the man who waits. The builder lives now. The waiter dies hoping. Think of it this way. A man digs a hole with his hands for 8 hours and earns $20. Another man invents the shovel and earns $20 every time someone else digs. Who becomes rich? The world celebrates effort, but it pays systems. Henry Ford understood this principle. He did not manufacture cars by hand until retirement. He created assembly lines that produced wealth continuously. While other men traded their strongest years for someone else's vision, Ford built a vision that worked without him. Do you see the trap now? The retirement system assumes you will obey long enough to become too weak to question it. They give you just enough security to keep you from running, just enough hope to keep you from building, and just enough fear to keep you serving. But what if I told you the men who retire with dignity never actually retired? They simply shifted from trading time to commanding systems. They moved from hourly labor to ownership profits. They stopped being employees and became employers of their own destiny. Ask yourself this: what are you building that will work when you are not working? What system are you creating that will generate value beyond your physical presence? If you cannot answer these questions with certainty, you are still trapped in the 65 lie. The tragedy is not that men work hard. The tragedy is that they work hard in the wrong direction. They climb a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. They spend their finest decades building someone else's empire, while their own dreams gather dust in the attic of someday. I am not telling you to abandon your employment today. I am telling you to use your employment as fuel for your freedom, not as a replacement for it. Every paycheck should fund your exit strategy. Every skill you learn should serve your ultimate aim. Every contact you make should add to your network of possibility. Declare this aloud: I refuse to work my life away and die poor. I was born to own, not to obey. The trap of 65 has no hold on me because I build my wealth now. Can you feel the difference in your chest when you speak those words? That is your spirit recognizing truth. That is your inner king awakening to reclaim his throne. The man who waits until 65 to begin living was never alive to begin with, but the man who builds systems while young commands wealth while old. The choice is before you now. Will you serve the lie or command the truth? Asterisk, asterisk. Movement 2. Time. That enslaves asterisk, asterisk. Now we must examine the chain that binds most men without their knowledge: time. You have been trained to believe that your value is measured by hours given. This is the mathematics of slavery disguised as honest work. Let me make this plain. A man who never escapes hourly labor dies a servant, whether he wears overalls or a three-piece suit. If you trade time for pay with no greater plan, you are merely a more expensive slave. The poor man always points to effort. He says, I worked hard, I showed up every day, I gave them my best years. But he does not realize that reward never goes to the one who merely shows up. It goes to the one who builds leverage. Time is the one resource you can never earn back. It is the only true currency you possess. And every hour you sell for someone else's dream is an hour stolen from your own empire. The rich understand this. The poor do not. Watch how the wealthy think. They do not say, how many hours can I work? They ask, how can I make my ideas work while I sleep? They do not measure success by time spent, but by value created. They build once and profit forever. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb and then handcraft each one for the next 50 years. He created the system that produced millions of bulbs. His mind worked once. His system worked continuously. That is the difference between time thinking and system thinking. Consider this contrast. Two men start with the same opportunity. One decides to do all the work himself to save money. He labors 14 hours a day, controls every detail, trusts no one. The other decides to build a team, create processes, and focus on multiplication rather than addition. After 5 years, the first man has a job he cannot leave. The second man has a business that runs without him. Which man is free? Which man owns his time? Which man commands his future? The enslaving power of hourly thinking goes deeper than money. It shapes identity. When you define yourself by the hours you give rather than the value you create, you become psychologically dependent on external approval. You wait for raises instead of creating income streams. You hope for promotions instead of building your own promotions. This is why so many people feel trapped even in good jobs. They have surrendered the commanding power of ownership for the false security of employment. They have traded their birthright as creators for a bowl of hourly wages. But understand this spiritual law: money obeys thought, not time. You can spend your entire life in toil and be passed by the thinker who dared to build a system. The world pays for solutions, not sweat. It rewards multiplication, not addition. Here is how you break the time chain. First, audit every hour of your current week. Ask, is this hour building my system or someone else's? Is this activity creating leverage or just motion? Am I solving a problem once or am I building a mechanism that solves it permanently? Second, begin to think in systems. Instead of doing a task repeatedly, ask, how can I create a process that handles this without me? Instead of managing every detail personally, ask, how can I build structure that manages itself? Instead of being the only one who can do the work, ask, how can I train others to multiply my capabilities? Third, shift your identity from worker to builder. Workers trade time. Builders create systems. Workers hope for better conditions. Builders create their own conditions. Workers ask for more money. Builders create more value. Let this be your new declaration. I do not sell my life for crumbs. My work builds ownership, not dependence. I use my mind, not just my time. The moment you speak those words with conviction, you have begun the transformation from time slave to time master. The moment you begin to think in systems rather than hours, you have stepped onto the path of true wealth. But systems without purpose are like engines without destination. They may run efficiently, but they lead nowhere of significance. This brings us to the third movement, where we discover the magnetic power of definite purpose. Asterisk, asterisk, movement 3. Definite purpose, asterisk, asterisk. There is one law that separates those who accumulate wealth from those who merely accumulate wages. It is the law of definite chief aim. Without it, you are like a ship without a compass, drifting with every current, arriving nowhere by design. I learned this law from the greatest minds of the industrial age. Every man who built lasting wealth could state his definite purpose in a single sentence. Not a paragraph, not a vague wish. One clear, specific, burning declaration of what he intended to achieve. Carnegie could tell you exactly what he was building and why. Ford knew precisely what he wanted to create and when. Rockefeller carried in his mind a crystal clear picture of his empire before the first well was drilled. This was not accident. This was law. Your mind is the most powerful force at your disposal, but unfocused mind is scattered energy. It is lightning without direction, water without channels, fire without fuel. The moment you give your mind a definite target, everything changes. Your subconscious begins to organize every experience, every contact, every opportunity around that central aim. Here is how definite purpose works. When you write down exactly what you intend to achieve, by when and how you plan to achieve it, you create what I call magnetic consciousness. Your mind becomes a magnet that attracts the ideas, the people, the circumstances necessary to make your aim reality. This is not mystical thinking. This is practical psychology. The conscious mind can hold only one thought at a time. When that thought is definite, specific, and emotionally charged, it becomes the filter through which you see all of life. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly become obvious. Resources that seemed unavailable suddenly appear within reach. But there is a difference between a wish and a definite purpose. A wish is vague. I want to be rich someday. A definite purpose is specific. I will accumulate $100,000 by December 31st of next year through my consulting business, and I will use this wealth to purchase income-producing real estate. Do you see the power in that specificity? The mind now has instructions. It knows exactly what to look for, exactly what to build toward, exactly how to measure progress. This is why most people never accumulate significant wealth. They operate with vague desires instead of definite aims. Let me give you a living example. When I first studied Andrew Carnegie, he told me his definite purpose was not just to make money. It was to create a system of steel production that would build the infrastructure of America. That purpose guided every decision, every investment, every partnership. Because his aim was definite, his methods became focused, and his results became inevitable. You must now examine your own life. Can you state your definite chief aim in one clear sentence? Can you name the specific amount you intend to accumulate and the date by which you will achieve it? Can you describe the service you will render to earn this wealth? If you cannot answer these questions immediately, you are still operating under the poverty consciousness of vague wishing. The universe responds only to definite demands backed by definite action. Here is your assignment. Before this day ends, you will write your definite chief. Aim, not tomorrow, not when you have more time, today. Write it as if it were already accomplished. Use these words: I will accumulate specific amount by specific date through specific method of service, and in return I will give the finest service of which I am capable. Read this statement aloud twice daily, once upon waking, once before sleep. Read it with emotion, with vision, with absolute belief. Feel the wealth in your hands. See the date on your calendar. Taste the satisfaction of achievement. Your subconscious mind will accept this as instruction and begin to arrange circumstances to make it real. But only if you write it definite, read it consistently, and believe it completely. Remember this law: a goal is a dream with a deadline. A definite purpose is a goal backed by burning desire and unwavering faith. The difference between the two is the difference between poverty and wealth. Speak this declaration now. I command wealth through wisdom. I do not hope. I know. My definite purpose is clear. My methods are planned. My faith is unshakable. When you speak these words with conviction, you have crossed the line from wisher to achiever. You have activated the law that makes rich men rich. You have set in motion the forces that must, by spiritual law, bring your definite purpose into reality. But purpose without systems is like seed without soil. It may have potential, but it will never produce harvest. This brings us to Movement 4, where we discover how the wealthy build mechanisms that multiply their efforts while they sleep. Asterisk, asterisk, Part B. Asterisk, 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 Movement 4. The law of systems. Asterisk, asterisk, wealth is not luck. It is not chance. It is not favor from heaven or fortune from fate. Wealth is system. It is the predictable result of principles applied with precision and persistence. Every man who ever built lasting fortune understood this law. You do not work harder, you work systematically. Let me show you what I mean. John D. Rockefeller did not become the richest man in America by carrying barrels of oil on his back. He built pipelines. While other men focused on the oil itself, Rockefeller focused on the system that moved oil. While they exhausted themselves with labor, he enriched himself with leverage. That is the difference between effort and empire. Effort is what you do. Systems are what work when you are not working. Consider the baker who rises at 4 each morning to knead dough by hand. He works 16 hours a day, serves fresh bread, earns honest money, but he has built a job, not a fortune. Now consider the baker who invents a machine that kneads dough automatically, then licenses that machine to 10,000 bakeries. Who becomes wealthy? The one who systemized the process. This is why most people work until they die. They focus on doing rather than building. They perfect their labor instead of perfecting their leverage. They become more efficient employees instead of becoming effective owners. But what exactly is a system? A system is any process that produces predictable results without your constant presence. It is organized thought converted into organized action. It is your mind multiplied by mechanism. Look at how Henry Ford revolutionized wealth creation. Before Ford, cars were crafted individually by skilled artisans. Each car was unique, expensive, slow to produce. Ford saw that the system was the secret, not the skill. He broke car production into simple, repeatable steps. He created an assembly line where each worker performed one specific task with maximum efficiency. The result? Cars became affordable, workers earned better wages, and Ford accumulated unimaginable wealth. But notice, Ford did not work harder than the individual craftsman. He worked systematically. He organized the process so efficiently that the system itself became more valuable than any individual effort. This principle applies to every form of wealth creation. The successful salesman does not just sell products, he builds systems that generate referrals, systems that follow up automatically, systems that convert prospects into clients without his personal involvement in every detail. The successful investor does not just buy stocks. He creates systems for research, systems for timing, systems for risk management that work according to predetermined rules rather than daily emotions. The successful entrepreneur does not just run a business. He builds systems for operations, systems for marketing, systems for management that function according to established procedures, whether he is present or not. Do you see the pattern? In every case, the wealthy person has moved from being the worker to being the architect of work. They have moved from doing to designing. They have moved from effort to system. But here is what most people miss. Systems are not complicated. They are simply repeated actions organized around a specific outcome. The power is not in the complexity, but in the consistency. Let me give you a simple example. Suppose you want to build wealth through real estate investment. The non-systematic approach would be to look for properties randomly, negotiate deals emotionally, and hope for the best. The systematic approach would be to create specific criteria for properties, specific methods for evaluation, specific procedures for financing, and specific standards for management. The systematic investor knows exactly what type of property to buy, exactly how much to pay, exactly how to finance it, and exactly how to manage it profitably. These are not decisions made in the moment. They are predetermined processes that remove emotion and ensure consistency. This is how you begin to build systems in your own life. First, identify any activity you perform repeatedly. Ask yourself, how can I create a standard procedure for this? How can I reduce the decisions required? How can I make this more predictable and less dependent on my daily energy? Second, document your best practices. Write down the steps that produce your best results. Create checklists, templates, procedures that others can follow to achieve the same outcomes. When you document your methods, you create the foundation for multiplication. Third, test and refine your systems. Measure the results. What works consistently? What fails predictably? Adjust your processes based on evidence, not opinion. A system that cannot be measured cannot be improved. Fourth, delegate or automate what you can. The ultimate system works without your constant supervision. This does not mean you abandon responsibility. It means you build responsibility into the system itself. Remember this law. Systems are spiritual before they are material. They begin in thought, in planning, in organized intelligence. The rich man thinks systematically before he acts systematically. The poor man acts randomly and wonders why his results are unpredictable. Declare this truth. Each day I act in obedience to system, not emotion. Each day I build processes that work beyond my presence. I am not just working. I am building mechanisms that work. When you speak these words and live by their meaning, you have shifted from laborer to architect, from employee to engineer, from worker to wealth builder. But no system, no matter how perfect, can overcome the limitation of a single mind. This brings us to Movement 5, where we discover the hidden ladder that multiplies mental power beyond individual capacity. Asterisk, asterisk, Movement 5. The mastermind and the hidden ladder, asterisk, asterisk. There is a power known to every man who ever built great wealth, yet unknown to most who struggle in poverty. It is the power of the mastermind. When two or more minds are brought together in harmony around a definite purpose, a third mind is created. A mind more powerful than any individual mind alone. This is not philosophy. This is principle. And until you understand it and apply it, you will be limited by the boundaries of your single consciousness. Let me explain how this works. Your individual mind, no matter how brilliant, can only hold so much information, see so many possibilities, generate so many ideas. But when you ally your mind with other minds in harmony, you create what I call a master mind. The combined intelligence is greater than the sum of its parts. Andrew Carnegie understood this law better than perhaps any man who ever lived. He was not the smartest man in steel. He was not the most educated. He was not even the most experienced. But he surrounded himself with minds that possessed the knowledge he lacked. He formed a mastermind alliance of experts in every area of steel production and distribution. Carnegie's fortune was not built by Carnegie alone. It was built by Carnegie's mastermind. His genius was not in knowing everything, but in organizing the knowledge of others around his definite purpose. He became wealthy, not because he had all the answers, but because he had access to all the answers. Consider Charles M. Schwab, one of the most remarkable examples of mastermind power in action. Schwab did not rise to become president of Carnegie Steel because he was born into wealth or educated in prestigious schools. He rose because he understood how to harmonize his mind with the minds of others. Schwab made it his practice to study every man in the organization. He learned their strengths, their motivations, their methods of thinking. When he spoke to the workers, he spoke their language. When he planned with the executives, he thought their thoughts. He became a conductor of human intelligence, orchestrating the mental powers of others toward common aims. The result? By age 35, Schwab was earning more than the President of the United States, not through individual effort, but through mastermind coordination. He had learned the secret that escapes most men. Your greatest strength lies not in what you know, but in whom you know, and how effectively you can combine their knowledge with yours. But understand this clearly. A mastermind is not simply a group of people. It is a group of minds in perfect harmony around a definite purpose. The harmony is crucial. Minds in conflict create confusion. Minds in competition create friction. But minds in harmony create power that borders on the miraculous. Let me show you how to build your own mastermind alliance. First, you must be absolutely clear about your definite chief aim. The mastermind exists to serve that aim. Every member must understand it, believe in it, and commit to achieving it. Second, choose your mastermind members carefully. You want minds that complement yours, not duplicate yours. If you are strong in vision but weak in execution, find someone strong in execution. If you are creative but lack business experience, ally with someone who has built successful enterprises. Third, meet regularly and systematically. The mastermind is not a social gathering. It is a business alliance with specific objectives. Meet weekly if possible, monthly at minimum. Come to each meeting with specific questions, specific challenges, specific goals to achieve. Fourth, maintain absolute harmony. The moment conflict enters the mastermind, the power begins to dissipate. This does not mean everyone must agree on everything. It means everyone must be committed to the common purpose above personal ego. Fifth, ensure mutual benefit. Each member of the mastermind must receive value greater than what they contribute. This is not charity. This is intelligent cooperation. When everyone benefits, everyone remains committed. Now let me address the objection I hear most often. But I don't know people with that kind of knowledge. This is exactly backwards thinking. You don't form a mastermind because you already know powerful people. You attract powerful people because you form a mastermind around a worthy purpose. Think about it this way. Successful people are always looking for opportunities to multiply their influence. They are attracted to definite purposes backed by definite plans. When you approach someone with a clear vision, a specific plan, and an invitation to mutual benefit, you are offering them something valuable, the chance to expand their impact through cooperation. Here is a living example from today's world. Consider how technology entrepreneurs build billion-dollar companies not through individual genius, but through mastermind alliances. They surround themselves with experts in technology, marketing, finance, and operations. None of them could have built the company alone, but together they create enterprises that dominate entire industries. The same principle applies whether you are building a technology company, a consulting practice, a real estate portfolio, or any other form of wealth. The key is to recognize that your individual limitations are not permanent barriers. They are simply invitations to find the right minds to complete your capabilities. But what if you cannot find a physical mastermind immediately? Then you must create a mental mastermind. Study the minds of successful people through their books, their speeches, their documented methods. Let their thoughts become part of your daily mental diet. Engage with their ideas as if you were in personal conversation. I spent years learning from Andrew Carnegie, not just through our direct meetings, but by studying every decision he made, every principle he followed, every method he used. His mind became part of my mastermind, even when he was not physically present. This is why reading the right books, studying the right examples, and consuming the right ideas is so crucial. You are either surrounding your mind with the thoughts of successful people, or you are surrounding it with the thoughts of unsuccessful people. There is no neutral ground. Declare this truth: I do not wait for freedom. I build it now through the power of allied minds. I attract to myself those who share my vision and complement my abilities. Together we achieve what none of us could accomplish alone. When you speak these words and act on their meaning, you have activated one of the most powerful forces known to human achievement. You have accessed the hidden ladder that lifts men above the crowd, but even the most powerful mastermind cannot help the man who will not decide. This brings us to Movement 6, where we discover why decision is the blade that cuts through every obstacle. Asterisk, asterisk. Movement 6, decision, that burns bridges, asterisk, asterisk. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must choose, not between good and bad, but between the comfortable lie and the demanding truth, between the familiar path of mediocrity and the uncertain road to greatness, between remaining who he has always been and becoming who he was meant to be. That moment is now. And the choice you make in the next few minutes will determine whether you spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been or knowing what you have built. Decision is the razor that cuts through confusion. It is the fire that burns away doubt. It is the bridge destroyer that eliminates retreat. Until you decide, you are still negotiating with yourself. Until you decide, you are still at the mercy of circumstance. Until you decide, you are still a victim of your own indecision. Let me tell you about a man who understood the power of decision better than perhaps anyone who ever lived. His name was Abraham Lincoln. In 1860, he faced a decision that would define not only his life, but the life of a nation. The country was tearing itself apart over slavery. Political leaders sought compromise, middle ground, ways to avoid the hard choice. But Lincoln decided. He decided that the Union must be preserved and that slavery must end, regardless of the cost. That decision made him enemies. It brought him ridicule. It led to a war that consumed hundreds of thousands of lives. But it also made him the great emancipator and saved the American experiment in freedom. Notice what happened when Lincoln decided. He did not become more popular immediately. He did not find an easier path, but he found his true power. Decision released in him forces that had been dormant. It clarified his purpose, focused his energy, and attracted to him the people and circumstances necessary to fulfill his mission. This is the spiritual law of decision. When you commit fully to a definite course of action, the universe conspires to help you succeed. But the commitment must be total. It must burn the bridges of retreat. It must eliminate the option of giving up. Most people never experience this power because they never truly decide. They choose, but they do not decide. They prefer, but they do not commit. They lean in one direction, but they keep one foot in the other camp. Listen carefully to the difference between choosing and deciding. Choice is selecting from options while keeping other options available. Decision is selecting one option and destroying the others. Choice is tentative. Decision is final. Choice can be reversed. Decision can only be replaced by another decision. When you choose to build wealth, you might start a side business while keeping your day job as backup. When you decide to build wealth, you burn the bridges that lead back to dependency. You make failure so uncomfortable that success becomes the only acceptable outcome. Henry Ford understood this principle when he decided to mass-produce automobiles. People told him it was impossible. Experts said there was no market. His own engineers said the processes wouldn't work. But Ford had decided. He didn't consider alternatives. He didn't have a backup plan. He simply moved forward with absolute certainty that his decision would become reality. What happened? The world rearranged itself around Ford's decision. Markets were created. Technology was developed. Systems were built. All because one man decided and refused to undecide. This is what you must do now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, you must decide whether you will spend the rest of your life trading time for money or whether you will build systems that generate wealth while you sleep. You must decide whether you will remain comfortable in your familiar limitations or whether you will expand into your true potential. You must decide whether you will continue making excuses for your circumstances or whether you will take command of your destiny. But understand this, decision alone is not enough. Decision must be followed by the daily ritual that reinforces your choice and programs your subconscious mind to support it. This brings us to the ritual that will transform your life. Stand before your mirror, look directly into your own eyes, and speak these 11 lines with absolute conviction. I am the master of my thoughts, emotions, and actions. I command wealth through wisdom and service to others. I do not trade my life for wages. I build systems that work for me. My definite purpose is clear, and my faith is unshakable. I attract the right people, opportunities, and resources to achieve my aims. I act while others hesitate, decide while others doubt. Each day I grow stronger, wiser, and more valuable to the world. I do not fear failure because I learn from every experience. My success is inevitable because I am aligned with natural law. I think, speak, and act like the wealthy person I am becoming. I refuse to remain small. I was born to command, not to comply. Speak each line 3 times. Feel the power in the words. Feel the truth resonating in your chest. Stand straighter. Breathe deeper. Let the words reprogram the deepest levels of your consciousness. After speaking these lines, remain silent for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and see yourself already in possession of your definite chief aim. Feel the satisfaction of achievement. Taste the freedom of financial independence. Experience the dignity of commanding your own destiny. This is not visualization. This is programming. You are installing new software in the operating system of your mind. But the mirror ritual is only the beginning. Here is the complete system that will make you wealthy within 30, 60, or 90 days of consistent application. Every morning, immediately upon waking, read your definite chief aim aloud with emotion. See it, feel it, believe it completely. Every week, create one new system that moves you closer to your aim. It might be a process for generating leads, a method for saving money, a procedure for learning new skills. Each system should work with minimal daily attention once established. Every week, meet with your Mastermind Alliance. Share your progress, seek advice, offer assistance to others. Keep these meetings focused on achievement, not socializing. Every Sunday, audit your progress. What systems are working? What needs adjustment? What new actions must be taken in the coming week? Never let a week pass without measurable progress toward your definite aim. Every 30 days, measure your results against your goals. Are you on track? Are you ahead of schedule? Are you falling behind? Adjust your methods, but never abandon your aim. Every 60 days, expand your vision. As you achieve small victories, set larger targets. Success breeds success, but only if you continue to challenge yourself with worthy objectives. Every 90 days, celebrate your progress and set new standards. What seemed impossible 3 months ago should now feel achievable. This is how millionaires think. They celebrate achievements briefly, then immediately focus on the next level of accomplishment. But what about the objections your mind is already raising? I don't have time for all this. You don't have time not to do this. The few hours you invest in systematic wealth building will save you decades of financial struggle. I don't have the right connections. Your mastermind will create the connections you need. Successful people are attracted to systematic thinkers with definite purposes. I've tried this before and failed. You tried pieces of this system, not the complete system, applied with precision and persistence. Partial application produces partial results. I'm too old to start over. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he built the Kentucky Fried Chicken empire. Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 78. Age is only a limitation if you make it one. The economy is too uncertain. Uncertain times create the greatest opportunities for those who think systematically while others think emotionally. I don't have enough money to start. Every great fortune was built from ideas, not from money. Money is the result of systematic thinking, not the cause of it. These are not valid objections. They are familiar excuses. And if you continue to embrace them, you will continue to get the same results you have always gotten. The choice is before you now. You can close this message and return to your familiar routine of trading time for money, hoping that somehow your circumstances will improve by accident. Or you can decide. You can commit. You can begin the systematic transformation from wage earner to wealth builder, asterisk, asterisk, closing movement, asterisk, asterisk. You were not born to serve until death. You were not born to die wondering what you could have accomplished if you had just had the courage to try. You were born to command your circumstances, to build something significant, to leave a mark that cannot be erased. Everything you need to build lasting wealth has been placed within your reach. The principles are not secret. The methods are not complex. The only question is whether you will decide to apply them with the same persistence that built the fort asterisk asterisk part C asterisk asterisk unus of Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, and Edison. I stand before you now not as someone offering you hope, but as someone offering you law, spiritual law, natural law, economic law, laws that work regardless of your background, your education, or your current circumstances. These laws do not require your belief to function. They require your obedience. You now possess the knowledge that separates the wealthy from the poor. You understand the difference between trading time and building systems. You know how to harness the power of definite purpose and mastermind alliances. You have the ritual that will reprogram your subconscious mind for success. The question is not whether these principles work. The question is whether you will work them. But before you make your final decision, let me address the voice in your head that is already making excuses. I have heard them all, and I will destroy each one with truth. I don't have enough education. Neither did Andrew Carnegie. He had less than 4 years of formal schooling, yet he became one of the richest men who ever lived. Education is what you learn after you think you know everything. The wealthy educate themselves through experience, through association with other successful minds, through the University of Applied Knowledge. I don't have the right background. Henry Ford was a farm boy with dirt under his fingernails. Thomas Edison was thrown out of school as uneducable. Abraham Lincoln was born in a one-room log cabin. Your background is not your destiny. Your decision is your destiny. I'm not smart enough. Intelligence is not measured by what you know, but by what you do with what you know. The world is full of brilliant people who die poor because they never learned to apply their intelligence systematically. Better to be moderately intelligent with systematic habits than to be brilliant with scattered efforts. I don't have capital to start. Every great fortune began as an idea in someone's mind. Ideas require no capital except the currency of thought. When your idea is clear, when your plan is definite, when your purpose burns with intensity, capital will find you. Money flows toward organized intelligence like water flows downhill. The timing isn't right. There is never a perfect time to begin. Economic conditions are always uncertain. Markets are always fluctuating. Competition is always present. The man who waits for perfect conditions will wait forever. The man who acts with available conditions creates his own timing. I'm too old to change. Colonel Harlan Sanders was 65 and broke when he franchised his chicken recipe and built the Kentucky Fried Chicken empire. Laura Ingalls Wilder published her first Little House book at 64. Frank McCourt didn't write Angela's Ashes until he was 66. Age is not a barrier. It is an excuse for those who prefer familiar failure to unfamiliar success. I'm too young and inexperienced. Mark Zuckerberg built Facebook at 19. Bill Gates started Microsoft at 20. Steve Jobs co-founded Apple at 21. Youth is not a limitation. It is an advantage for those bold enough to think beyond their years. Experience is overrated. Decision is underrated. My family won't support me. Most great achievements are accomplished not because of family support, but in spite of family doubt. Your family loves you, but they may not understand you. They want security for you, which means they want you to remain where they can predict your outcome. But predictable outcomes for most people are mediocre outcomes. You cannot let the fear of others limit your faith in yourself. I don't know the right people. You don't need to know the right people to begin. You need to become the right person to attract them. Success is magnetic. When you begin to think and act like a successful person, successful people will be drawn to you. Your network is not determined by your past. It is created by your present value and future vision. What if I fail? What if you succeed? What if you fail to try and spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been? Failure is not falling down. Failure is staying down. Every wealthy person has failed more times than poor people have tried. The difference is that successful people fail forward. They learn from every setback and use it as stepping stones to higher achievement. I need more information before I start. Information without application is worthless. You have enough information to begin. What you need is not more knowledge, but more action. The world is full of people who know what to do, but never do what they know. Knowledge is only potential power. Applied knowledge is actual power. These excuses sound reasonable. They feel protective. They seem logical. But they are lies designed to keep you comfortable in your limitations. Every excuse you accept becomes a chain that binds you to mediocrity. The truth is this: you have everything you need to begin building wealth today. You have a mind capable of thought. You have access to information. You have time that you can organize systematically. You have the ability to form relationships with other minds. You have skills that can be developed and applied. You have dreams that can become definite purposes. What you may not have is the courage to begin. But courage is not something you feel. Courage is something you do. You don't wait to feel brave before you act bravely. You act bravely and then you feel brave. Courage grows through exercise, not through contemplation. So I challenge you now. Stop thinking about what you cannot do and start acting on what you can do. Stop focusing on what you don't have and start using what you do have. Stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating better conditions through systematic action. The wealthy think differently about problems. They don't see problems as barriers. They see problems as businesses waiting to be built. Every inconvenience is an opportunity for innovation. Every frustration is a market signal. Every difficulty is a doorway to profit for those bold enough to walk through it. Look around you right now. What problems do you see? What inefficiencies exist? What services are lacking? What products could be improved? What processes could be streamlined? These are not obstacles to your success. These are invitations to your fortune. The man who solves problems gets paid. The man who solves big problems gets paid big. The man who solves problems systematically gets paid systematically. This is the foundation of every business, every fortune, every empire ever built. But solving problems requires that you stop being a problem yourself. Stop being the person who creates excuses and start being the person who creates solutions. Stop being the person who waits for others to act and start being the person others wait to see what you will do next. This transformation begins with identity. You must see yourself not as you are, but as you are becoming. You must carry yourself not with the posture of your current circumstances, but with the bearing of your intended achievement. When you walk into a room, walk like a person who commands wealth. When you speak, speak with the authority of someone who has studied success and applies its principles daily. When you make decisions Make them with the confidence of someone who knows that systematic thinking produces predictable results. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are aligning your outer behavior with your inner vision. You are programming your subconscious mind by acting out your intended identity until it becomes your actual identity. Remember this law. You become what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly act poor, you become poor. If you repeatedly act wealthy, you become wealthy. If you repeatedly act uncertain, uncertainty becomes your character. If you repeatedly act decisive, decisiveness becomes your nature. Your habits are your destiny. Your rituals determine your results. Your daily practices create your permanent conditions. This is why the mirror ritual I gave you is so crucial. Every morning, when you stand before that mirror and speak those 11 lines with conviction, you are not just saying words. You are declaring identity. You are commanding your subconscious mind to organize your life around wealth rather than around lack. But the mirror is just the beginning. Everything you do from the moment you wake until the moment you sleep must reinforce your identity as a person who commands wealth. How do you dress? Wealthy people dress with intention. They understand that appearance affects not only how others perceive them, but how they perceive themselves. You don't need expensive clothes. You need clean, pressed, well-fitted clothes, worn with dignity and confidence. How do you speak? Wealthy people speak with precision. They don't mumble, ramble, or apologize for their ideas. They state their thoughts clearly, ask specific questions, and listen with complete attention. Your words reveal your thoughts, and your thoughts create your reality. How do you spend your time? Wealthy people invest time rather than spend it. They choose activities that build their capabilities, expand their networks, or advance their definite purposes. They read books that educate rather than entertain. They associate with people who challenge their thinking rather than confirm their limitations. How do you handle money? Wealthy people respect money by managing it systematically. They track every dollar, budget every expense, and invest regularly, regardless of the amount. They understand that how you handle small amounts determines how you will handle large amounts. How do you respond to setbacks? Wealthy people see setbacks as information, not condemnation. They ask, "What can I learn?" Not, "Why me?" They adjust their methods quickly but never abandon their aims. They understand that persistence through difficulty is what separates winners from wishers. These are not complex behaviors. They are simple choices made consistently. But simple things done consistently create extraordinary results over time. The compound effect works in all areas of life. Small daily improvements in thinking compound into revolutionary changes in results. Modest weekly increases in capability compound into mastery over months. Consistent monthly progress toward definite aims compounds into the achievement of what seemed impossible at the beginning. But compounding only works if you work it. You cannot apply these principles occasionally and expect permanent results. You cannot be systematic sometimes and random other times. You cannot think like wealth on weekdays and like poverty on weekends. The law demands consistency. The law rewards persistence. The law responds only to those who prove their commitment through daily action aligned with declared purpose. This is why I am giving you a specific protocol to follow for the next 90 days. Not a suggestion, not a recommendation, a protocol. Follow it exactly as I prescribe it, and your life will change in ways that will astonish you. Day 1 through day 7, Foundation Week. Every morning, read your definite chief aim aloud with emotion before you do anything else. Write it if you haven't already. Make it specific, make it definite, make it emotionally compelling. Every morning, perform the mirror ritual with the 11 lines I gave you. Speak each line 3 times with conviction. Every evening, review your day and ask, "What did I do today that moved me closer to my definite aim? What will I do differently tomorrow?" Choose one system to implement this week. It could be a financial tracking system, a daily learning system, a health optimization system. Start simple, but start. Day 8 through day 14. Acceleration week, continue the morning and evening rituals without fail. Add one person to your network who shares your commitment to success. This could be through reaching out to someone you admire, joining a business group, or simply starting conversations with more successful people. Expand your daily system or add a second system. Focus on activities that will still be producing value 6 months from now. Begin reading one chapter per day from books written by or about successful people. Feed your mind with the thoughts of those who have achieved what you intend to achieve. Day 15 through day 21. Integration week, continue all previous practices. Form or join a mastermind alliance. Even if it's just 2 people meeting weekly, you need the power of allied minds working toward common goals. Identify one major decision you've been postponing and make it this week. Practice the art of decisive action in both small and significant matters. Begin tracking your progress with specific metrics. What gets measured gets improved. Day 22 through day 30. Momentum week. All previous practices continue without exception. Increase the challenge level of your systems. Add complexity that serves efficiency, not complexity for its own sake. Have at least 3 conversations this week with people who can potentially help you achieve your definite aim. Practice articulating your vision clearly and compellingly. Set your goals for the second 30-day period. Build on what's working, adjust what isn't, but never lower your standards. Day 31 through day 60, expansion phase. Your morning and evening rituals should now feel natural and necessary. Your system should be running with minimal daily management. Your mastermind should be meeting regularly and producing tangible results. Your network should be growing with quality contacts who add value to your life and receive value in return. Your decision-making speed should have increased noticeably. Your confidence in your ability to achieve your aims should be growing daily. During this phase, focus on multiplication. How can you help others while advancing your own aims? How can you create value that serves many people? Simultaneously, how can you build systems that work even when you're not working? Day 61 through day 90, mastery phase. By now, success thinking should be automatic. Wealthy behavior should feel natural. Systematic action should be your default mode. Your systems should be producing measurable results. Your mastermind should be generating opportunities and solutions regularly. Your network should include people who were previously beyond your reach. Your confidence should be based on evidence, not hope. During this phase, prepare for the next level. Set larger goals. Take on bigger challenges. Expand your definition of what's possible. Begin to see yourself not just as someone who achieves success, but as someone who creates success for others. At the end of 90 days, measure your results honestly. Compare your life on day 90 with your life on day 1. The difference will be undeniable if you have followed this protocol precisely. But remember this, 90 days is just the beginning. Wealth building is a lifelong practice, not a temporary project. The habits you form in these first 90 days will serve you for the rest of your life, but only if you continue to honor them even after the initial excitement fades. This is where most people fail. They start with enthusiasm, see some results, then gradually return to their old patterns of thinking and acting. Don't be most people. Make a commitment not just to the first 90 days, but to the person you are becoming through the process. Make a commitment to excellence as a way of life, not as a temporary experiment. I leave you now with this final challenge. The principles I have shared with you built the fortunes of Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Edison, and hundreds of others who understood that wealth is created by thought directed through organized action toward definite aims. These are not theories. These are laws. They work whether you believe in them or not, but they work faster and more effectively when you believe in them completely. You have a choice to make. You can continue living the life you've been living and get the results you've been getting. Or you can decide to apply these laws with the same precision and persistence that created the greatest fortunes in history. I call upon you to make a solemn oath, not to me, but to yourself, not for show, but for transformation. Stand up right now. Stand tall. Look ahead, not down. And declare with absolute conviction, I am through with mediocrity. I am finished with excuses. I am done with delay. From this moment forward, I think like wealth, I speak like wealth, I act like wealth. I do not hope to become financially free. I decide to become financially free. I do not wish for better circumstances. I command better circumstances. I was not born to serve until death. I was born to command my destiny. Each day, I act in obedience to natural law. Each day, I prove who I am becoming. Each day, I build the systems that will make me wealthy. I refuse to remain small. I reject the lie of limitation. I embrace the truth of unlimited potential. This is my oath. This is my law. This is my life. Now, before you do anything else, take these 3 actions. First, write your definite chief aim. Be specific about the amount, the deadline, and the service you will provide to earn it. Write it as if it were already accomplished. Second, stand before your mirror and speak the 11 lines I gave you. Speak them with power. Feel them changing you from the inside out. Third, burn one bridge that leads back to your old life. Delete one excuse from your vocabulary. Abandon one limitation that has been holding you back. Make one decision that proves you are serious about transformation. Do these 3 things within the next hour. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Your wealth is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is waiting for your decision. Your success is not delayed by circumstances. It is delayed only by indecision. Your future is not determined by your past. It is created by your present choices. The world needs what you have to offer. It needs your ideas, your energy, your unique contribution to human progress. But the world cannot receive your gifts until you decide to give them. You have been equipped for greatness. You have been called to command. You have been offered the keys to financial freedom. Take them. Use them. Begin now. Your time of small thinking is over. Your era of making excuses has ended. Your season of limitation is finished. The age of your dominance has begun. Begin strong. Begin now. Begin without apology. Your wealth is waiting for you to claim it.